So we're here today for Minifit. We've got the most amazing beard in the whole of Strongman, Big Lawrence. How you doing, mate? You all good?
I'm really good, buddy. Yeah, just enjoy. Busy, but enjoying life at the moment. It's all good.
And you're prepping for the Royal Albert Hall, right? You're making your comeback. The long-awaited comeback.
I sort of hung up the boots and, been doing other things, and then just seeing all you guys competing and training, I was like, oh. It was when the opportunity to kind of compete at the Royal Albert Hall came up, I was like, that interests me.
Yeah.
I've got no interest in going back to World's Strongest Man. People keep saying, "Oh, if you come, place well, will you go back to Worlds?" Honestly, probably not. But the one day shows do interest me, where we've got genuine fans there watching, and what a venue to do it in. It's. I said to Colin, "I'll do it," and then he told me the lineup, and I was like, "Oh God, it's just stacked." But I'd rather that, go up against the best in the world and see if I can still hang with you guys. And I'm enjoying it. Training's fun. I'm doing it for me, no other reason. I'm not trying to sort of win prize money or anything like that. It's just for fun, and I'm really enjoying it. So it's nice.
It's nice to do that, isn't it? And I think that takes us on to actually our first question as well, obviously with the whole pandemic, COVID, everything, and that's going to be our first show coming back from the pandemic, the Royal Albert Hall. Hopefully it'll be a stacked arena. Like you say, it's a stacked lineup. But obviously, we've had the last year's been a bit of a ball ache, so to speak, for Strongman. But how do you think COVID has impacted the sport? Is it? Do you think we can come back from it? Do you think people will be open to coming to the shows again, or what do you think? Do you think people?
Look, I think there's going to be some people that are going to want to be careful, and that's totally their choice, and I totally respect it. But I think for most of us, particularly people involved in strongman, they just want to get on with living. They want to get out there. They want to socialize, see people again. We, for the most part, we're reasonably fit and healthy people. We're training every day. I mean, I had my COVID jab and I was absolutely fine training the next day. Sometimes it affects, I know it affects everyone in different ways, but I'm not someone that likes to hide away. I'm someone, it's kind of funny. I sort of look back at my life and I see these kind of situations where I sort of follow danger, if you like. I went to Egypt like the week after there was bombings in the hotels or the airports, and after the shooting in Vegas, I was there a week later, and I don't think you can kind of. I'm the kind of person, I don't think you can hide away and just try and survive. I'd rather live and take a couple of risks than just kind of live longer, but just feel like I'm doing nothing. So, I think most people, particularly in the sport, want to be at live events. We want to, progress. I think the government have done a good job with the vaccine and stuff like that. And now numbers have all come down. So let's get back to what we all enjoy doing. Let's get back to performing in front of crowds. I know it was great to do like the feats of strength and stuff like that last year and a few shows behind closed doors.
Yeah.
But you're like me, you want to perform in front of a big crowd.
Yeah, definitely.
It's nice just lifting the big numbers in your gym and stuff like that. But when you get that reaction from the crowd, and that's when I'm best is in front of a big crowd. It raises me, 5 or 10%, and you're willing to push that a little bit harder. You get that reaction, and it's just that's what I want to get back to.
Yeah, well, I mean, you go back to like when you're saying your best. I mean, one of your best results was when you won Europe's Strongest Man. It was like that iconic venue in front of 12,000 people or so, 10,000 plus people, and you can see that your performance just goes up a notch. And I think a lot of us strongmen and athletes really do perform. They talk about an extra 10% or so in competition environments, and I think you're living proof. To topple the mountain the way you did, it was incredible, man. And that's one of my most favourable moments in strongman. Was watching you kind of lift that trophy. I think it was just incredible.
It's definitely a moment that will stay with me. That's for sure.
Yeah, man, it's so cool. And yeah, I'm the same with you, mate. I just hope that we all get back to it and just. You touched on the feats of strength and stuff. It was cool to do, but that kind of when you're at that Giants live shows with those people screaming, man, it's just I'm getting my hairs on it.
The arena shows that the Giants live team put on are without question, the best run shows in the sport. You know, I've seen lots of people trying to make the sport better and you know, keep moving forward, and that's great. But the live shows that those guys do, for me, are the most exciting. They're the ones that interest me in terms of wanting to compete again, because it's in front of so many fans, because it's people that, you know, I've been doing this sport so long, along with like guys like Mark Felix and Terry Hollands, when we were just competing in a car park in front of a, you know, no one, and
Yeah,
to see the sport grow. If I'm going to compete, I don't want to compete in a car park anymore. I want to do it in
no,
those big shows, those big environments with proper fans, because we have genuine fans in the sport now that follow us all over. They follow us on social media, you know, that they support what we do, and they're the people I want to perform in front of.
yeah, big time for sure. What do you think then? You know, so we're talking about obviously the feats of strength, the way Giants Live kind of has evolved the sport that is strongman that we love. You know, from that car parks to the arenas full of 10,000 people now. Where do you think that's going to go? You know, do you think we can evolve it further? Do you think we can push it more? I mean, I know you've got some thoughts on that, so kind of
Yeah, definitely. I'd love to see it grow. You know, kind of go down the, yeah, I guess somewhere between like the WWE and UFC type. You know,
mm,
we're not a fake sport, but we
hmm
need that entertainment side of things, and I think that is helping now with, you know, the fact that we can be in front of fans on social media so regularly. They
yeah,
start to kind of get behind certain athletes and they can see personalities, and I think that's important, because when you just watch this, you know, if we all just go and do the same thing, say, you know, we go lift a log, but no
mm,
one knows who we are, no one sort of really cares, you just see the strongest guy win, that's great. But once you actually get behind someone and you kind of
mm,
invested in them, that's when it becomes, you know, that it's passionate, and you want to watch these people, and you feel it when they do badly, you kind of feel it when they do well, and that's when you get more fans involved. So for me, the fact that, you know, you guys are doing a great job with your kind of YouTube stuff, and you and Tom have a great story in terms of, you know, where you've come from, and you're the strongest brothers from Scotland, and it's just a great story that people get behind. And then when you see, once, you know, I'm a fan of you. I know we compete against each other, and when we compete, I'll try
mm.
and kick your ass. That's just the way we are. But I'm a fan, like, when I watch you, because you sort of put everything on the line, it invests me, and I want to watch. And you know, you feel for you when it doesn't go well, and you're happy when it does go well. That for me is more interesting than watching like a robotic person that shows no emotion. I
Yeah,
can respect the guys that are sort of, you know, Terminator like, but I don't get invested into them as people. So I think as a
yeah,
fan, you want to be able to kind of be drawn in, and that's what we
yeah,
need: more characters, more behind the scenes stuff, that where people can kind of follow, realize we're just normal blokes. You know, we're
mm,
not,
yeah,
you know, we're talented, we are freakish in terms of our genetics are very good, but at the end of the day, we're normal guys just trying to pursue something that we love. And I think
hmm
once people get into that, it's easier then to think, well, I want to support this guy, I want to watch him. And you know, we're seeing that now, whereas when I started, there was no proper fans of the sport. There's people that watched World's Strongest Man at Christmas, but no one sort of knew who we were or anything. And now you get people that message. I'm sure you get messages all the time from people saying how you inspire them, and
yeah,
all these kind of things. And it's a nice feeling for sure.
definitely. And I think, like you say, as soon as you have that personal touch in the athletes, you know, as us as strongman, you know, the fans or people watching can see that kind of, we are just normal guys. You know, we do have our down days, we do have our good days. You know, we do underperform sometimes,
Yeah.
and that's, like you see, that's where, like for me as well as a fan, like I'm a huge fan of strongman, but that's what I like to see is like everyone is human. You know, everyone does have their down days, and I think that does take a different. It goes down a different path. You know, that's where we can explore a little bit more and kind of do more other than just strongman. You know, like you say, you've got your YouTube channel as well, seeing you do all these tours and these. I love watching your predictions, and when I'm not in your prediction, I'm like, well,
Yeah.
um, but
It's
I
good
think,
when I don't mention someone, they it motivates them. So sometimes I
yeah,
do it on purpose.
but it's good though. It's so nice to see that and having that platform like social media now that we have. I think it's incredible. I think that's so um, such a boost for the sport. I think that's why it's grown so much. But then, like for me, I know speaking to a few of the promoters and stuff, they're wanting us to perform a certain way and, you know, have this character that they want us to be. And I don't know if they've ever come up to you and said that to you, but I've had that a couple of times, and I can't be who I'm not, you know, when I'm performing. Like you say, I kind of wear my heart on my sleeve and stuff, and when I'm happy and I'm happy.
I think it's really important to be yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I've been in that situation where people have like wanted me to do things, and probably in the past I've done a few things I think, oh, I wish I bloody well didn't do that. I look like a right twat, you know. And I think sometimes people look at successful characters and then they just try and copy them. Say like Eddie, for instance, Eddie Hall, incredible strongman, incredible personality, arrogant and cocky, but it's him.
Yeah.
And then you get these guys that try and copy him that just aren't that way. There's no point in me trying to be Eddie Hall.
No.
I'm not Eddie Hall. So I think you get to a point in your life, you're like, I don't give a fuck what people think. I'm just going to be me. And that's probably been the best thing I can do. You know, just be me, portray my own personality, relax a bit on camera. I think when you sort of first get on camera, you're sort of reserved a little bit. You know, my personality's off camera and then on camera a little bit different. But the more you sort of can relax and you let people in just to see who you are, it then starts to become easy. And you know, you guys are just you. I know, you know, when I come up and hang out with you, you're exactly the same when you're on TV or you're on your YouTube and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it's great. And I think, you know, I'm the same. And you allow people to like your character, and everyone likes different people. So it's you know, you look at the people that are doing well in the sport, it's the ones that are just being themselves on camera and you know, trying to entertain, if you like, but do this sport because they love it as well. I think that's the one thing I see sometimes, is that people are trying to get into strongman and they don't genuinely love it. They want some fame or some kind of recognition.
Yeah.
This isn't. I'm not saying this is about everyone, but I do see certain people are like, and you see them moaning about training. Well, I love going training, you know, and like I've been injured so many times that 90% of those people would have given up. But I keep coming back because I genuinely enjoy it. And I think that's got to be the first reason you do strongman.
100%. Yeah, you've got to enjoy it. If you don't have that enjoyment, if it's not your passion, like, why
you know how brutal it is.
Yeah, it's horrible. You're waking up. I can't. Walking down the stairs in the morning every morning when you wake up, it's a challenge. You know, that's like the first challenge of the day, is getting out of bed and I wonder what's sore today. And I think, like you say about injuries as well, like there's two different ways of looking at that. You know, you have an injury and then you can get kind of down and sad, and we all do that, you know. But then it's coming back from an injury, and when you can train again after an injury, like you feel so lucky to be able to train again. It's like, this is amazing. I can actually. I was up. I've not said this before, but 2 Mondays ago I was up in A&E. I'd done my back in, so to go up to A&E, and I thought Worlds was over for me. I genuinely thought. Did everything I could then after, did physio, hot and cold, infrared, acupuncture, and then on Thursday, my back felt okay. I was like, well, this is actually okay. Spoke to Dan. He's like, just go and train, but just take it easy. 305 for 10 reps and squats, because I was angry, you know, but then I was so busy, and I think that's that mindset, you know, to be able to, through adversity and stuff, you know, is to be. It is a privilege for us to do what we do, and like you say, a lot of guys come in and just want the fame, and strongman isn't about fame. I mean, geez, like you say, when you started, you were doing it in car parks, and you just did it because you loved it, and I think people get a bit lost in that sense, and it's definitely. I think that's a good point. You really have to love it, man. It's what we do. It's not normal, man. It's definitely. But yeah, it's good. I mean, going back to Bahrain, we had the flag hoist, which was quite a new event, you know. So I remember in Bahrain, everyone was like panicking. What do we do? How do we do it? Like, what's your thoughts on taking on some new events? You know, the flag hoist, or I don't know, whatever. You know,
I love it. I love seeing new events in strongman. I think, you know, I think Worlds this year, they've got a couple of different events, which I think is really cool to see. I think we need that. I think it's, you know, strongman. I think if it becomes too kind of regimented and just about records and stuff like that. You take that kind of fun element away. I like watching the old strongman where they kind of did these random tests of strength, and people
Yeah.
didn't know what they would be doing until they turned up at the show. And then it was the guys that could adapt quickly and, you know, figure out things the best that did well. I mean, you did awesome on the flag hoist. Did you win it?
Yeah, well, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's why you brought that event up, is it?
Yeah. Just bigging myself up again.
But it is, you know, I think strongman's, you know, a little bit about that. I mean, I was up in Scotland last week and trying some of the Scottish stones. I've never tried them before, and I loved it. It was just a fun challenge, and you try and get, you know, you get stuck in and you do all right, and then you actually start figuring out how to do better the next time. And you know, I like that challenge of learning new events. And I think sometimes when it's just the same thing week in, week out, we may as well do powerlifting.
Yeah.
Nice
It becomes
to
a bit stagnant, yeah. It's
sometimes,
nice.
sometimes I like when they sort of make events, you know, if they go to different countries and use some of the traditional things that people use in countries, that's kind of cool to see.
Yeah.
I think we do need a little bit of variety in terms of events, because if it's the same every single competition, you know, I'd love to see them bring something like a backlift back for the. I thought of the Strongman Classic at the Royal Albert Hall, something like that would have looked awesome.
That would be cool. Yeah, there was. I did hear through the grapevine that people were almost thinking about having that in Worlds this year.
That would be cool.
But
like the Wheel of Pain at the Arnold's, that's a cool event. I think, you know, it visually looks impressive.
Yeah,
awesome. As great as a 4 or even 500 kilo deadlift is, with calibrated plates, it's visually not as kind of impressive as seeing someone pull an aeroplane or flip a car. And I like that kind of, you know, side of strongman, as well as the ridiculous impressive lifts that we see.
Yeah.
I like seeing things that just you think, because now I've got to remember, like, I'm a big, strong guy. I'm a strong man. I've done it for years. It's all about weights and just training. But what fascinated me when I started was these visuals of these giant guys lifting cars, or, you know, pulling airplanes, pulling trucks. And it was those kind of thoughts that kind of got me into the sport. It wasn't necessarily what people could squat or deadlift. That was something that I started to admire once I got into lifting. But
that's a good point.
Early on, it wasn't, you know, how much someone could squat or deadlift. It was like, that guy's pulling a plane. That's amazing. Or that guy just flipped that car. You know, it's
bonkers to think. Yeah, imagine like being a young kid, and I remember Marius was pulling the plane when he tore his calf or whatever it was. You know, watching that bulging biceps, and you're like, this isn't real. Like, it can't be real. And then 10 years later, you know, we're getting to do that type of stuff, which is like bonkers. You know, we're pulling a train, I think, in Worlds this year, which is
that's cool. Like, have you ever pulled a train before?
No, we were. It's funny, we put a video out, and Tom's like said, ScotRail, the railway company in Scotland, ScotRail give us a phone, and 10 minutes after the YouTube video went out, ScotRail phoned me and said, do you want to pull a train? I'm like, that'd be cool. But then health and safety and lawyers got involved, and they said that we can't do it because
I've done it once before. It's not too bad, train pull.
Right.
The initial start is hard, but then once it gets going. You need to be.
Oh, really? Okay. No, I'm looking forward to it. I think that'll be quite cool. I like those type of events, unknown, the kind of hard ones. You know, like this push thing that we've got, the wheel, cool. The turntable push, the train pull. You know, those ones when it's just about hard. You know, it's just going to be sad, and those are good events. They're fun events, I think, because that's really I think that's a test of your character, isn't it? You know, that kind of to see how you can. I'm going to World's Strongest Man this year. How do you think it's going to pan out? You're kind of. Do you think we'll see a log press record? Obviously, we've got a max record in the final.
I don't think we'll see a log press record because the log's in the final, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah.
So I think you guys will be a bit too beat up to break any records by that time. I think if you're in the final, especially if you're doing well, you'd rather focus on winning than breaking a record.
Yeah.
So if I was you and you could win with 200, I'd win with 200.
Yeah.
Because there's going to be opportunities to break records later.
That's a good point.
I think for a log record, ideally you need to be fresh.
Yeah, definitely.
The numbers that people are different, because you're going to have to go through 6 events in the heats, potentially, and then, you know, it could be the 3rd, 4th event by the time you do it.
Yeah,
I don't think
no,
we'll see any log records. So,
no,
you
I
know,
think it's gonna be
that's
tough.
just me being kind of sensible, I guess, and boring.
Yeah, let me record this, Loz. I'll just record this now and then send it to
Yeah, yeah, mate. If you this is something I tell everyone, and people get upset when I kind of just give my opinion.
you.
If you
Yeah.
prove me wrong, I will be so bloody happy.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah.
People get upset with me. I'm just like, just prove me wrong, and I'm going to be a bigger supporter.
Like,
You know, it's not a personal attack. It's just I'll give my opinion. I've been doing this sport a long time. I've got a good understanding of it, and you know, unfortunately, the position I'm in now, doing the commentating and stuff like that, people always get upset with something that you say, but it's never personal. And
no, of course not. It's a valid point. I think, if you're a betting man having a log best world record attempt in the final, I would say not a chance. It's going to be really tough.
see,
You're
I think yourself, Hicksy, I and Bibby are all capable of a log record now, and I think a battle between you three at an event is going to be really exciting. And I think that
yeah.
I think actually being in the same competition against each other will make it even better.
Oh yeah, man, it'd be cool.
But I think World's Strongest Man is about winning World's Strongest Man. It's not
Yeah.
about breaking records there. So
Definitely.
I would be looking at getting the win and moving on to the next event.
Yeah, for sure. I think you've got to be smart in these things, don't you? It's not, breaking a world record. Don't get me wrong. If Hicksy's in the final and I'm in the final and whoever else pressing the log will be up to 220, then
Look, if you've got to go for a world record to win, then you're going to go for it.
yeah.
But if you're looking at the log last year in the final, you'd say people underperformed. And it's not really that they underperformed. They're just, your body gets battered at World's Strongest Man. And I think,
definitely.
when people are just watching and haven't experienced it, I think Tom won the log last year at Worlds, didn't he?
Yeah.
And you're looking at people hitting numbers. You think, well, you were just doing like 30, 40 kilos more than that in the gym. Why are you not doing it? But it's different environments, different logs, conditions, and it all affects it. And I think,
for sure. And you're outside as well.
Sorry, I was just saying, I was talking to someone about Atlas stones the other day.
Oh,
and
right.
you can have a 200-kilo stone, but in different environments, it can be completely different.
Good point, actually. Yeah, for sure.
One of those things that, in perfect conditions, 200-kilo stone for us guys isn't that hard.
No.
Do it in bad conditions, and you can't even get close. It's
Do you remember the first year at Woos in Dubai when we did the stones, and it was just slipping? Like it was just awful. It was like, and like we should be smashing those stones, easy, but just like you say, that different kind of conditions, that stone's been lying out.
It's wet, it's kind of dripping off you. The stones are wet. It makes it completely different.
It's tough. So
and I guess because I have that experience of competing so often, that's why I sort of think about things when I do these predictions and stuff. Perfect conditions. I got my money on you to break the record. I've got my money on Hicksy to break the record. I think both of you can do it.
Yeah, definitely.
I genuinely do. I think it's just a matter of time and opportunity this year. But I would put my money on you guys to do it at, say, the log lifting championships rather than at World's Strongest Man.
Yeah, no, I think that would be it depends. For me, it's all about the situation. If someone's pushing me, then I'm going to be fired up to, obviously go. That'd be cool. Let's get to the final first. That's
I've been in that position before where the events in the final are brilliant for me, and I didn't make the final.
It's tough, isn't it? And the qualifying events are quite tough. They're not easy.
Do you know your group yet or not?
No, nothing. We haven't been told anything. I don't know if I'm doing squat or deadlift.
Because that all makes a difference.
Yeah, but it's hopefully we'll find out soon. I just got the flight sent through this morning, I think. So we're going. Unfortunately, we can't take our +1s because of the waivers. We had a conversation about that.
That sucks.
Yeah, it's a bit frustrating, but it's World's Strongest Man. I better not say too much. So going back to your first competition after your little retirement stint, how are you feeling about it? Are you feeling good? What are you looking to do?
I've had to be realistic. Like, I've got to remember how many injuries I've had. I've had 2 years off lifting, and it's, I do get a little bit frustrated at times when I'm training because certain things aren't coming back as quickly as I'd like. And I have to remind myself, you know, I train a lot of people and I'm great with them, but when it's yourself, you get frustrated. But some things are going great. Some things feel good. You know, I feel pretty good on certain things. My static strength is nowhere near where I want it to be yet. It is getting better each week. You know, I started out my prep, I couldn't deadlift 300 kilos. So it's, I deadlifted, like I did 355 on the axle yesterday. So I think that's about comp weight now. So I'm like, right, I can do the comp weights now. And it's just trying to build that confidence each week and also manage my body the best that I can. That's why I'm kind of enjoy. I want to focus on the one day shows because I don't need to, like World, you just got to be ready for anything.
Yeah.
Whereas with this, I've got 5 events to train for. It's much easier in terms of planning training. I'm listening to my body. So if I feel like I need to back off, then I will. Likewise, if I feel okay, I'll push a little bit harder. But it's all trying to make sure I do everything so that I peak at a certain time. And I believe I can make sure I'm in at least 90% of my best. That's kind of my goal, is to get to within 90% of my best ever. I think if I do that, I can hold my own and perform well. And that's exactly, I've gone are the days of me wanting to win World's Strongest Man. And, you know, as much as I'd love to win titles, there's more important things in my life right now. And I'm distracted by a lot of other things. So the training has just become fun. I love competing. I love performing in front of a big crowd. And I do feel with a few of these events, I can surprise a lot of people. You know, there's a couple of good events in there for me. If I can hold my own on the static kind of, you know, the deadlift and the axle. The axle's a tricky one because at my best, I was decent at axle, but I'm nowhere near what my best was. So I'd like to, if I could get like a 180 or 190 axle, I'd be really happy with that. Deadlift, 4 or 5 reps, I'd be over the moon. Real good, hopefully, performance on the frame. At my best, I know I can score big points on that.
That's good.
I think I can do well on the Hercules hold, and then I want to finish the stones. So I set myself these kind of like little goals. Then it stops me worrying about what all of you monsters do. Because, you know, if I sort of see you go and do like 220 kilos on the axle, I'd be like, oh, I'm shit. It's not the right mental, you know, it's not the right attitude to have. You've got to think, well, you set yourself this target of 180, 190, go and hit that. If I do that, I'm going to be over the moon. And that's kind of where I try and get my mental state, so that it's like I'm focusing on my performance, not anyone else's. And then, you know as well as me, it's easy to make a mistake in a comp. You know, we see people mess up, we see people underperform. So if I just focus on me, I know I'm going to be strong enough to do everything. Then it's a matter of how it goes on the day. And my main goal is to finish that competition and have fun. That is the number one goal.
Yeah, man, that's. I think I love in for the moment, just being in that moment when you're there, not worrying about anything, just like, so you're up. I can't wait to see in the Hercules. So I'm buzzing.
I've done years. I've been doing strongman since 2005. So for years and years, and so often it was like the pressure that you put on yourself. You've got to perform, and you know, sod that now. I'm just doing it for fun.
Yeah, definitely.
And I'll be honest with you, I've done some of my best performances when I've just gone back to doing it for fun.
Yeah, and
it is important.
And the only people, like, it's just you that's putting that pressure on yourself as well. Like, you control that. You control that pressure. If you think you should do better at this event, then that's on you. It's like, if you can just switch off and I'm just here, I just want to have fun. Like, it's just a training day with my mates, and okay, we're competing in front of a big crowd.
We're naturally competitive men. You know, if I go there and do shit, I'm going to be disappointed.
Yeah, of course.
But I believe if I can enjoy it, then I can perform better. And if I can be realistic about where I want to get to, the way things are progressing, I think I can get close to those numbers at least. And, you know, I'm the type of person, once that whistle goes, I give 100%.
Yeah.
And one of two things will happen. I'll either do really well or I'll get injured.
Well, let's hope for the first you'll do really well, man. I'm buzzing. I can't wait to kind of get back and compete with you. And I'm really excited because, like, for me growing up as well, not growing up, but when I first came on the scene, you know, you were one of the guys I really look up to, and I still do. I've got the utmost respect for you. And it's just cool, you know, for me to be in a position now where we're competing, we're friends, we chat, and, you know, it's very humbling for me, you know, to have that. So it's very much appreciated. I can't wait to see it.
One of the great things about Strongman is that we can be friends, but when it comes to competition, we all want to win.
Yeah,
and if anyone says they don't, they're lying. You know.
Yeah.
But
No.
I think it's one of the nice things. It's not like we're fighting each other and you've got to kind of have that aggression against each other. It's against the implements and the weights that you're doing. And
Definitely.
I know you're very similar to me in that you want to see me do well, or you want to see me perform at my best. I want to see you perform at your best. And that's what it's all about. And,
Yeah.
you know,
No, for
pushing
sure.
each other to do better every single time.
Yeah, and I think that's what we do. I think that's the beauty of it. I think that's why people get so involved in it, or so emotionally involved in it. They can see the kind of like screaming for each other to do. I mean, my voice, if it's Tom competing or someone else, I'm always really hoarse after my voice goes.
You're like the best corner man in the world.
Yeah, I think I need to kind of step back from that position this year at Worlds and just do me for a little bit.
Focus on you. Focus on
Yeah, yeah. That's something that I need to do. I get too emotionally. I'm in tears all the time watching people compete.
Mate, you're one of the best guys on the planet. You need to focus on yourself.
Yeah, yeah.
I know. I know. There's the focus on Tom, and he's so good, but so are you. And you got a few years to give it everything.
No, I appreciate it, man.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, I will. 100%. It's this year. I tell you, it's going to be a different me going into Worlds. I've got to, again, because we're lucky to be here. We're lucky to compete and do this. But it's been great. But I appreciate you taking your time out, Lawrence, to talk to me today. Special thanks to Merrifit for making this happen. And no doubt we'll chat again soon.
Awesome, buddy. It's a pleasure, and best of luck at Worlds. Okay.
Thank you so much, mate. I appreciate it.
Wish Tom
Cheers,
luck
mate.
as well if he's out of bed.
No, I won't. I'm not going to wish Tom any luck. Cheers, mate.
Cheers, mate. Take it easy.